the two most important days of your life. The day you were born, the day you find out why. Mark Twain. I've heard that quote a number of times over my years, but the last time I heard it, I burst into tears. I believe it's true. It's taken me a long time, but I have found purpose that is bigger than myself, that is not even about me. My mission in life is to end the unnecessary suffering caused by the fear of not being good enough. To have connected with that purpose is a beautiful experience. As a young person, looking also to find purpose, it can be a daunting task. How do you solve the purpose problem? Well, let's start with how not to solve that problem. Your purpose is not to try and inspire people to greatness. While that is the stated intention of many social media influencers, drawing attention to themselves by their great achievements, triumphs over adversity, with a message that you too can be great, no one has ever been inspired to greatness by someone telling them that's what they need to do. The people who have inspired me the most have never once stated that was their intention. Your purpose is not to prove somebody else wrong. There are people doing all kinds of amazing things in the world right now, purely driven out of a desire to prove the naysayers, the haters, and the doubters wrong. Someone told them they shouldn't, they couldn't, and they wouldn't. And they are driven to prove them wrong. But even when they've achieved the impossible, they are no more fulfilled or satisfied than when they begin. It is out of insecurity that many people look like they have found purpose, yet it is simply an attempt to validate their own existence and prove that they matter. Your purpose cannot be to prove that you matter. Your work, as you become an adult, is to discover that you do matter, with nothing to prove and nothing to defend. Then you're able to show up in the world with your cup full. Then you have something to give. Then you can connect with purpose that is bigger than you and not even about you. To solve the purpose problem, you'll need to solve the insecurity problem first. Now, thankfully, throughout time, there have been people who have done just that. They have found a way to show up at their best where it matters most, not hindered by this fear of not being good enough. And success leaves clues. My work has been to understand the path that they have tread, to make it explicit, so that you too can solve the insecurity problem in your life. There are 7 essential practices, it turns out, for people who have solved the insecurity problem. The first one is to step into the light. Yoda says, "Named must your fear be, before banish it you can." If you don't know what you are fighting, how could you possibly win? People are insecure about being insecure. They run away from that fear. While it is dangerous and vulnerable, until you become clear about what you fear really is, you cannot begin the process of changing it. People imagine they're afraid of failure or rejection. That is not the deepest level of fear. Both those two things are outside of your control. The fear is far more personal than that. Having failed or been rejected, what do you fear that says about you? Now it becomes personal, that I am a failure or that I'm not worthy of love. The universal fear, under all others, is that we are somehow inadequate. Each human being must face this fear. This fear left unaddressed causes suffering. The first process, the first practice is to name that fear, to be clear about what your opponent really is. From there, the second practice is to hand back the victim card. This was a game-changing idea for me in my own process of solving the insecurity problem, made possible by the knowledge that as human beings we are storytellers. We're sense-making creatures. We go into the world and we tell stories about our experience. From the moment we have any conscious awareness, we are asking and answering 2 questions about everything we see, hear and feel. Why did this happen? And what does it mean about me? Now, psychologists teach us that built in our DNA is a negativity bias. designed to keep us safe. So you can imagine how this questioning plays out, especially when we are children. In the face of pain, in the face of loss, in the face of disappointment, asking, why did this happen and what does it mean about me? Affected by a negativity bias, we tell negative stories about ourselves. These stories become our beliefs. They become the narrative that we live out of. They become self-fulfilling prophecies. They become our insecurity. See, when people discover they're insecure, then they go work out why. People think they're insecure because of what has happened to them, but that's not how the world works. Life is not about what happens to us. It's about the meaning we place on the things that happen to us. When I discovered that, it changed everything. I discovered I was not the victim. I was not the actor in the story. Someone else had written, I was the storyteller. I was the one with the pen. I was the one deciding I was no good. It was all me. I wasn't the victim in the story, I was the bully. When I got that, I realised if it was me that had created this story, then I'm the only one who can change that. The third practice for people who have solved the insecurity problem is to dial up the pain. Now, pain is a gift designed to protect you from future and worse pain, designed to move you toward safety. When you put your hand on the fire, it's supposed to hurt. That is, pain lovingly tell you to get your hand off the fire so you don't destroy your hand. Feeling no good about yourself is supposed to hurt. That's the point. That is pain telling you that is not the way it's supposed to be. That is pain pleading with you to change, to deal with that at its cause and move towards safety, real safety. Pain is a gift. People who have solved the insecurity problem have used pain this way. Most people use pain against themselves. See, every cell in our body is designed to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. Most people have linked pain to change, to the uncertainty of the unknown, linked pain to dealing with dysfunction. Therefore, pain is resisting your progress. If you are to solve the insecurity problem, you will have to focus on the pain of being here, of feeling no good about yourself, and create a threshold moment where whatever pain is involved in change, it cannot be as much pain as staying here. Now you have what it takes to proceed on the journey. While all change starts with a focus on what you don't want, that is never enough to sustain a meaningful, lasting change journey. There must also be a focus on what you do want, which is practice 4. Everyone who has solved this problem has had a compelling vision for their life, which is not about moving just away from pain, but moving toward pleasure. Solving the insecurity problem is like the hero's journey. You are the hero in the story, and the hero needs a quest. There's got to be a mission drawing you, even when it gets hard. Without a sense of desire for what it is that you really want your life to be about, there is nothing strong enough to keep you making progress in the face of pain and fear. What do you want is the most difficult question in the world, but it is the adult question. What do you want and what are you prepared to do about it? It means you'll maintain progress even when it gets hard. Now, as the hero in the story, at some point every hero realises they need help. But it's not just any help, it's the right help. There's a Gandalf, there's a Yoda, there's a Dumbledore who come and equip the hero to do what the hero needs to do. Now, when I discovered this patterning around help, there was an interesting distinction. In order to solve the insecurity problem, you must get help from someone who doesn't care about you. People who care too much about your own self-esteem can get in the way. Out of that caring, they will try and solve it for you. I grew up on a sheep farm in rural New South Wales. When I was 12 years old, my dad, who was a wool classer, took me into the shearing shed and asked me if I thought wool would burn. I didn't think it did. He said, watch this. Took some wool that had been freshly shorn and lit a match underneath it. It caught on fire straight away. He Took the match away, however, and the fire went out just as quickly as it had started. Lanolin, the oil in wool, is flammable, but only when exposed to an external flame. Paper, on the other hand, needs a spark that will continue, can sustain its own fire. My dad said something to me which I've never forgotten. Jaemin, this is what it's like working with people. It looks like they're burning, but it's all you. The moment you stop doing what you're doing, the fire goes out. The hero knows he needs a spark. The hero knows he needs fire. But the hero knows this is dangerous. The wrong help in the wrong way will trick him into think he's making progress and keep him or her disempowered and stuck. Finding the right help is essential. The sixth practice, sooner or later the hero is alone, realising that no one is coming to save them. The sixth practice is to go fight the dragon. While it's confronting to realise that no one is coming to save you, there's no other way. The insecurity problem was not created outside you by someone else's words. It is your own opinion of yourself. If someone else's words could have fixed this for you already, it would have. If someone else's encouragement could have actually made you feel good about yourself long term, it would have already. If affirmations and kind words from others could have worked, a quick glance at Instagram and the first 3 memes would have solved the insecurity problem for you. That's not how it works. At some point, the hero knows they must face the dragon. They must discover for themselves, are they good enough or are they not? This work of being the hero means going all the way back to the beginning, the origin, the inception of that story, to face that fear all the way back to the start, to deconstruct that story. Incredibly confronting, but there is no other way to prove once and for all that you matter. Having deconstructed that story, having rendered it make no sense, the final practice is to rewrite the story. See, you are already the one with the pen. You wrote the first story, so you are also capable of writing the next one. In solving the insecurity problem, the question is not who are you? The question is who do you want to be? We're storytellers. People who succeed in life do so off the back of the stories they tell. They tell better stories than those who don't. Having the pen and paper, having cleared the slate, you are now free to define who it is that you are and what are you going to do. You are now responsible for your own identity. That is solving the insecurity problem. You are then free to show up in the world at your best where it matters most, with your cup full. Now you have something to give. Now you are free to connect with purpose that is bigger than you and not even about you. In order to solve the purpose problem, you must first solve the insecurity problem.